Awesome, thank you, Tack. We're going to call Aiden up next to show off Polymino.
Yeah. I'll just. There we go. All right. Oh, come on.
Oh, no.
I'm getting hit by this too. View to request access.
I should have like.
That's crazy. It's
I could
like
have simplified this beforehand by like.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is on me.
I mean, it's not a huge deal. I thought since it's not a private YouTube video, so I didn't think this would be an issue. Let's see. Okay. You know what? It was just basically like context, just gameplay footage, which isn't really super important. So.
It's a YouTube video?
Yeah, it's a YouTube video. It's like it's unlisted, but it's not private.
You
So
can pull it you can just pull it up in a tab.
that's
Like for that portion of it. So that way you can still show it. If you can like if you send me the link and then on the Discord tab you can just pull it from there. Easy.
Oh, I think I got it here. Wait. Can I just
That's how you can get it up on the screen fast. Or well, doesn't need to be fast, but like easier, I guess.
Okay. Well, I think I got it here, so. All right, well, sorry about that. But anyways, yeah, I'm Aiden. I'm going to talk about my game Polymino. Polymino is a puzzle game. Yay, we got the video. So you move the blocks around on your board, match up 3 of the same color, and when you do that, it launches projectiles in the same direction as the match you made. So you use those to destroy the giant junk pieces that are dropped at the top of the board, and those junk pieces shatter into more regular blocks, and then you use those to make more matches and destroy more junk, and that's pretty much the gist of it. So yeah, Polymino is on Steam. It's still in early access, so I am still working on it, but I've been working on it for about a year now, so there's a lot I've learned, especially since it's the first game I've made, released. Polymino also has a website. If you want to check out the game after the presentation, it's at polymino.net. There's a link to the store page, the Discord server. There's a Sega Genesis version of the game, which is a whole can of worms that I can't get into right now, but if you want to check it out, it's there. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is Keymailer. If you're not familiar, it's a service where you give keys for your game to content creators. So they get a free game to make content with, and you get free publicity, basically. So it's pretty beneficial. One thing I've learned about it is that the benefits go a bit further than just publicity, though. It can be a really great source of feedback. I mean, if it's a live stream, you basically have a recorded playtesting session with, commentary about what the player's thinking. You can also use it as an opportunity to network. So, I mean, when this person, Tetrium, played Polymino through Keymailer, I joined his Discord server afterwards, and even though his online following is like 10 times bigger than mine, he and the other people on the server still thought it was really cool that I was there. It's like, hey, the developer of the game Tetrium was playing. So I know of at least 2 people, in addition to Tetrium himself, who joined my server and bought my game as a result. So you can definitely get more benefit out of it than just publicity. I've also learned a couple lessons the hard way with Keymailer. So I learned it's really important to manually check out everybody who you're going to accept a key request for. Like, some people will literally just accept a whole bunch of keys on Keymailer, boot up a Twitch stream, and then burn through like 10 games in a stream. They'll play each game for like 20 minutes. They won't speak a single word. So you gotta, if you have a free Keymailer account, you can only give out 10 keys a month. So it's important to not let that happen, basically. So, you can't really trust the metrics Keymailer shows you. You have to manually do your research. And then another thing is, it's good if you can prioritize creators who specialize in your genre. I think that's probably the most important for niche games, but yeah, it's, the feedback is more valuable because it comes from a place of expertise. The publicity is better because the people, if they're watching a puzzle game streamer, the people probably care more about puzzle games. And yeah. Next, I'm going to share a little anecdote about crashes to desktop. So I've learned that if you're making a game in a programming language, which is compiled to machine code, crashes to desktop can be a bit tricky. Like just looking at this screenshot of the game's code, there's like some setup before that and some cleanup after it, but I mean, pretty much all the game's code is in that UI.main loop. So I used to think that that meant that no matter what happens, if all else fails, we'll at least get to there and catch it and print something about it. And then one day I just released a big update on Steam, and I was playing the publicly released Steam build of the game, and it crashed. And then I went to the log files, and there was no error there. So now I don't even know where to start looking for tracking down this bug, which is in the public version of the game. In retrospect, what happened is that my game tried to access memory that the operating system didn't allocate for it. And when that happens and your game is, machine code, it's not running in a virtual machine, the operating system just kills it. It doesn't generate an exception for you. It doesn't magically know that your game was programmed in C++. So it just terminates the process. And you might even be missing some logs from right before the crash happened, because if those output buffers weren't flushed, then the logs didn't get written to the disk. So you can really be lacking information at this point. Fortunately, one of the biggest things I've learned while making Polymino is a way to diagnose issues like these. The exact process is a bit specific to my setup, so bear with me. But basically, I went to Windows Event Viewer, and oh, look at that, there's an error for when my game crashed. That's crazy. So if you click on it, you can see some information. The fault offset that's highlighted there, that's the address of the machine instruction where it crashed. So, you're going to want to write that down. Above that, there's a Windows exception code. So if you look that up, you can learn a bit more about what went wrong. But it's not super specific and didn't really end up being necessary. Basically, after I got that fault offset, I went to Visual Studio and launched the game, specifically the release build, because the binary code has to be identical. And then if you open up the modules and disassembly window, in modules you can copy the base address of the program once you've launched it and paused it. And then you add that to the fault offset, and it takes you to the machine instruction once you paste that into the disassembly window. And Visual Studio does this great thing where it'll generate information about which line of C++ code generated these machine instructions. So basically I went from not knowing where to even start looking for this to having the exact line of code where it crashed. So that was a huge game changer for me. Like I said, insanely specific to my setup, but I mean, it was so groundbreaking, I just wanted to share it just in case, maybe it's relevant to someone. And then I'm going to talk about some Steam features that I've taken advantage of a lot. There's a whole laundry list here, but the thing I really want to focus on is remote play, because I'm working on a versus mode for my game right now, and I don't have proper online multiplayer right now. It's just local multiplayer. But the way remote play works is it lets you do local multiplayer online, because one person runs the game and their audio and video gets streamed to everyone else, and then everyone else's inputs get streamed to you. So it's not as ideal as proper online multiplayer, but it is a way to play your game over the internet with other people, so it's really valuable. And as opposed to alternatives like Parsec, it is nice when you can just be like, hey, you have Steam, right? Cool, just join my game, instead of convincing somebody to set up Parsec or something else like that. So now that we have, an overview of Steam features, let's leverage them, eh? So the first thing I'll talk about is related to the Steam leaderboards. There's an achievement you get if you beat my high score on the Steam leaderboards. And just as a side note, the reason I did that is because it's kind of like a design goal for me that people who are good at puzzle games should be able to just totally destroy my high score, because I don't play a huge amount of puzzle games. So it's like when somebody beats my high score by like 1,000,000 points like that, it kind of tells me I'm on the right track. So, but the thing I want to focus on here is the colors. So once you get this achievement, you can set a custom color for your name to appear on the Steam leaderboards. And I made this happen without having any game servers for the game. So, I mean, in terms of going about implementing that, the first place to look would be cloud storage. But Steam Cloud Storage isn't really a place to upload public stuff that anybody can access. It's more for like your own save data. So that option was out. But there is another online service with Steam where you do post public data, and it's the leaderboards themselves. I mean, a leaderboard score is a 32-bit integer, but a color can be a 32-bit integer, right? So why not just make another leaderboard and just interpret that data as a color instead? So that's exactly what I did. So when you look at the leaderboards in game, it's actually fetching a second leaderboard, and it's just interpreting that data as a color. The next thing I've done is related to remote play together. I mentioned that, I should have mentioned that the game doesn't even have to be aware that remote play exists for it to work, because it's the same as just local multiplayer. But Steam kind of lets you have your cake and eat it too, because you can, there's functionality that lets your game be aware of remote play sessions. So if you have a Steam input handle, which is like a controller ID, you can query if it's associated with a remote play session, and then get the Steam ID of the user who's connected to you. So when I found out that was possible, I was like, could you imagine if you were like playing remote play with somebody, you're not running the game yourself, but you're just live streaming it, but the game knows who you are and it's showing your name in the game? Like, what kind of wizardry is that? So I had to do that. There we go. Okay, small problem. Polymino doesn't use Steam input, it uses SDL, which is a really great cross-platform library. And so basically, unless SDL had some kind of magical function where you give it an SDL controller handle and get a Steam input handle, I was going to be out of luck. Oh, it's a magical function where you give it an SDL game controller handle and you get a Steam input handle. That's pretty cool. So now I can go from basically any controller in the game, see if it's being controlled by somebody connected over remote play, and get their Steam ID. So that does let me show their username in the game, but since we have their Steam ID now, we can do more wacky leaderboard shenanigans, you know? For example, the Steam leaderboards let you attach files to leaderboard scores. So like if it's a racing game, you might want to have a replay of the race attached to your best time. That's a pretty reasonable use for it, but I'm not a reasonable man. So instead, I'm going to use it for control preferences. So what I'm working on for the next update is basically you upload your control preferences and some like custom color choices, and then it'll, you know, attach it to a leaderboard. And then when you join somebody else's copy of the game over remote play, those settings will follow you to their copy of the game and automatically appear. So this is what setting up a local multiplayer game normally looks like. And then in the next update, this is what it's going to look like with my friend and I playing remote play there. And that's going to do it. That's all I've got. So thanks, everyone. I hope you found it entertaining. Don't forget to check out polymino.net. Thank you.